Hi guys. So there's so much going on that I don't even know like what to read on. And it's like, it's all happening so fast. I'm most curious how Trump's going to be leaving, and is he actually gonna, I'm surprised he wasn't immediately removed by the 25th Amendment. I'm glad that impeachment is moving forward. It's gonna pass in the House. I started this reading on the 12th, and now I know impeachment has happened in the House. It will not be happening in the Senate until after Trump is gone and Biden is inaugurated, and Pence has taken the 25th off the table, apparently. Even some Republicans are going to be voting for impeachment in the House. I still don't, and a couple will in the Senate, but I don't know. I mean, that's something we could read on, but it's so unlikely that he would be impeached in the Senate. In other words, that he would be convicted and removed in the Senate. But it could be pushing him to resign. So let's see. Could just ask for a general reading on the situation right now. On the general reading on the removal of Trump from office. What is the most likely way that Trump will be leaving office? What is the most likely way that this is going to play out? I don't know how the cards will answer, but basically I want to know, could this be the 25th, resignation, or does he just let his presidency play out and then like leave? Or does he not leave? Do police have to escort him out? Let's see if we can get any clues, just with this general question. Okay, so my best guess on this, okay, it's interesting. So first, this Knight of Pentacles immediately feels to me like Don Jr. It really looks like Don Jr. It's just like, I cannot get past that. So I'm gonna say Don Jr. is somehow central to something right now. And covered by the Hanged Man, by the way. Which does tell me, you know, the Hanged Man means we're gonna be waiting. So I would say, what do we even have left of this presidency? 8 days or something? We're probably gonna keep waiting, that there's not gonna be something very swift changing things before then, before inauguration. Okay. Because I see some things, I get very much the feeling that they are holding things over Trump. They are basically like, if you do one more thing, or which is ridiculous and I don't agree with it, I think it should have been done right away, but if you do one more thing, then we're going to take the action that is really gonna humiliate you or whatever. And I feel like it relates to Don Jr. and he, you know, Knight of Pentacles, and we have an Ace of Pentacles here in the near past. And I got this in my last read also. I think that Don Jr. was involved in paying off some people or some, and then here's Trump here as King of Pentacles, mob boss card. Honestly, that Knight of Pentacles that brought me to Junior could be symbolizing how Trump himself has been downgraded to a more junior or lower status position at the heart of the matter. At the surface, he may be still called president, shown in that king, but in truth, his power is downgraded, and that Hanged Man covering says it will remain so for the duration of the time he's in office. So, yeah, I think that there was, this is money leading to this situation at hand, which is here at the base, the Devil card, the controlling of people. That's one thing that the devil can mean. It can be addiction. It can be like a tyranny, really. like obsession. I mean, these people are clearly obsessed, and it's so interesting because this also to me reminds me of that day, Wednesday, January 6th. So basically what I'm wondering is, was money paid to finance this insurrection or finance some of these terrorists on the ground that Junior handled? And the people and their riot, their violence. And it's sort of at the direction of, in this card, the devil. That's Trump, you know? Whatever Trump has created. And it's not just Trump. It's so much bigger. But this is the spirit of it, of course, is that control. So he's responsible, and they know it. And that's what's here at the base. It was his rhetoric that inspired these people. He's the one. I mean, this devil is linked right into their brains, you know? And that fire there just so reminds me of the scene that day. Oh, so creepy. Not to mention that rage and obsession still burns just beneath the surface for Trump, even if he does behave on the surface. So scary. So, yeah, and I think it also does remind me, I think there is a story about how maybe Don Jr. is being investigated for his involvement in this as well. So it's almost like they're holding that over Trump, and then leading to the goal of why they're doing this, Four of Swords, to get him to just shut up. I wish that they would have done something bigger as to make an example, but what I think here, this Four of Swords indicates a putting down of the swords. So Trump is just going to have to be quiet. Now, I know we did hear him today. He did some speech about the wall. But it's like basically they're controlling him. And, you know, this, you know, I wondered, could this mean the 25th? Could this mean removal through impeachment, which I don't think will happen. But because this is a card of inaction rather than action, I'm reading it as more they are getting him to be quiet and stop talking. The swords would be the talking and the energy, and he has to stop. By the way, I'm just remembering now, I did a couple of reads about a month or so ago looking into how Trump goes, where I saw in the cards and I said, I think Trump will be silenced in the end. And I felt like that, I said, I know this is so far-fetched, but I felt it so strong. I got it on my pendulum as well. I even read on it a second time. I don't know if anyone remembers that. But I felt they would use dirt on him to get him to stop talking, knowing that that would be best for the country. So it's really wild that we're here now. I mean, for the most part, he's silenced on most social media, and I think he is as president as well, except for pre-approved topics. I did like to imagine that his silence would continue into his post-presidency, that he'd go quiet and leave and stay quiet. That's kind of what I thought, to save himself from something. All of that remains to be seen, but this card does suggest that he will stay that way in the coming days at least. The Four of Swords could also definitely be resignation. I would imagine it to be a pretty quiet one. I got clarity on that. An upside down sun, reversed sun, and a Seven of Pentacles, which to me, and then this Ace of Rods at the bottom. These cards to me, like this would be like bringing it all out. It's almost like it's like contained. Another way I'm thinking of this upside down sun is the sun going down on Trump. It's over. And I can't help but think of sundowning as well, which happens when people have dementia. It can cause them to really act out and obsess. So that's another thing they may have their eye on. As opposed to exposure and brand new day, like brand new shining a light. It's like, no, we're just going to contain everything and keep an eye on everything. This Seven of Pentacles is sort of like you're watching a garden to see if it will grow, you know? So while he's being quiet, they're keeping a close eye. And I get that a couple other places too, that they are keeping a close eye on him. And also, it's interesting because then I threw another one, Ace of Rods. Now this would tell me impeachment, removal by impeachment or a conviction or whatever. But it's sort of like down here underneath these things, like we are going to let you wait this out We're going to keep an eye on you. And if, you know, we have this down here, should it need to be used, this Ace of Rods, which would be a big judgment, or I think it's probably the 25th. We have this here, if need be, but otherwise we're going to wait it out. Under, oh yeah, so under these cards, I do see, so these are the cards that were at the base underneath. After I pulled these added cards, I saw Trump as this 3 of Rods. Here he is looking at what's next, okay? And it could also be overseas. 7 of Swords is a stealing. I think he's just gonna, he's looking at, okay, yeah. And then this Page of Swords is sort of a new endeavor. I think that this is him wanting to know, what can I do with this narrative I've created, that this was stolen from me? This would be a brand new endeavor, okay? A Page of Swords is more of a new idea, I should say. I think he plays around with different ideas of what he can do for his next act. So this is kind of like the thing I think he sort of, I would say, daydreams or fantasizes. Even though he's obsessed with staying, this is creeping in a little of what he could do next, but he'll still stick with his obsession that, you know. But I will tell you, I see him as weak and not feeling well. This King of Cups just makes me feel, oh, and also very dependent on, I'm not sure he actually drinks, but you know, I picture sort of like, you know, I think he is addicted to substances, and that's very much here. It's like he's bloated, which he is bloated, but I think there's like substances. So, okay, so, and also I would say this very much is sort of a fantasy of what he can do. If he really has to stop talking, he's gonna have this fantasy of what he can do next. But look at this, 8 of Swords, Hierophant, and 10 of Swords. He's not gonna be able to do these things. This even suggests, could be jail. Hierophant is like, this is the systems coming down on him, and a 10 of Swords, it's the end for him. So whatever he can have his fantasies about what he's gonna do next, but it's not, I mean, very clearly not going to work out. We have the Tower here with the upside down, with the reversed High Priestess. So the Tower, okay, so this very much tells me, I mean, there's still so much brewing, and we know that. The FBI has said as much. They're planning for more of these riots and sort of insurrections on all the state capitals, it sounds like, armed. So, you know, it kind of, even though I'm glad, you know, I guess they're gonna keep him silent, it's like in the meantime, all this is brewing in our country, all because of him, the devil. And this High Priestess upside down, this actually tells me that they are, like the FBI, if it were upright, this would be mystery and like sort of hidden agenda, let's see, like secrets and mystery, and it's upside down here, which makes you feel like they're inside, you know, they're inside the dark corners of the internet or wherever. Things are being thwarted, shut down. This could also be Parler shut down. That's interesting. Or other sites, other conversations, like things are being shut down while this Tower brews. I also think a lot of doors are being knocked on, and it's surprising a lot of people who think that they're so very covert, and suddenly they get a knock on the door. Some officers want to have a conversation. So it's like whatever their secret plans are, I just feel that like this would be maybe secret plans, and this is sort of like thwarted plans. So like we can take some comfort in that. And you know, the obvious jump with this Tower card, of course, is the riots and everything brewing. And like sort of our country, this is just how it feels. And like something about these birds sort of swirling around it. It's just like doom, you know, this doom feeling. And so I do think that's what it's pointing to. You could also question, I mean, the Tower has been coming up for Trump for a month, so there's no doubt this is a Tower for Trump, I guess. 5 of Cups, hopes and fears. This is, you know, blood spilled. this is how I'm reading it. But it does in general mean loss, and it can mean loss of life and pain from that loss. I mean, this is just how we feel, like, it's devastating. It's like we're just all like under attack by the abuse of our own citizens who are like mind controlled by this guy and their tricks and that family. You know, just mind controlled by a violent force, really. So yeah, grief here. I have to remember this is also a Trump read, so this also would point to how he's feeling, his fear of having to face this humiliating loss. But also, it's not just fears, it's also hopes. There are people who want to spill more blood, I believe. This is my opinion from my tarot card reading, for entertainment purposes only. But yes, certainly that's a fear of that happening. And as we know, hopes and fears can play out. So to have this Tower and this Five of Cups and this Devil here, I mean, we know we're in it. We're in it, and we're gonna have to hold on tight to get through to the end. And I do see at the end, you know, I asked, is the military gonna have to take him out? Is that gonna be one of the ways he has to go? What I feel is that it's like, if necessary, they are on standby, okay? Now this Eight of Rods, that's what I get from that Strength card. I mean, there's no card that says military strength forcing him out than that card. He's literally in military armor. And don't worry, I just had the thought like, oh geez, does this mean the fascist takeover? But we've got the Empress here. This is America. She's here underneath it all, which is the strength beneath the surface. You know, you have these two major arcanas together, the Empress with the strength. America has the strength. The military is on the side of America, not on the side of the fascist takeover. Or else maybe we'd have the devil here, right? Yikes. And then this Eight of Rods, if it were like this indicates things happening very fast. So again, and this also would indicate actual force of weaponry, perhaps. You know, like if I got these together, I'd be like, wow, I think they're literally gonna force him out. But I think it's more of a, because it's upside down, it says, they're not gonna maybe use force. You might not see him dragged out, but they're there. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I picture almost, and I feel the same in these cards. You need to be quiet. We are keeping an eye on you. We have these judgments that we have the 25th we can put out there anytime. There's very much a feeling of military types that are really around. I don't think they're literally standing over him as when he sits in the Oval Office, but like that's how it feels. Like you might picture two of these guys standing over Trump the entire rest of his presidency or something like that. And maybe literally they might actually be part of the deal here that Pence gave him. We're keeping an eye on you so that you are quiet. He might actually have like two military around him at all times. It's possible. And then underneath these cards, I did have a little story here. Like, and you know, we can almost read this as what's happening beneath the surface of what we're concerned with right now. And I see, well, first there's this Star card, which tells me again, keep an eye on that North Star, which would be the end of this time, as opposed to maybe we have to not be, just keep an eye on keep your eye on like that shining, you know, shining star of, not that I think it's going to be perfect when Biden's in, but we'll get there, I think is kind of the message. Don't forget we're going to get there. That moment's going to arrive when he's gone. And then I have COVID here, which is interesting because of course it is taking a back seat during this time, but it's so present. and people going into poverty here. And I wondered a lot, like, why the Star card with the Five of Pentacles? Why the Star card with COVID? And it's kind of a strange thing, but I feel like the souls of those who are losing their lives are sort of adding to a spirit that's around us. Not that I'm so sorry if anyone has a loved one who has passed, and I don't mean to make light of that, literally make light of it, because that's what it feels. This does feel like a light, a shining light. But, there would be comfort in knowing that they do all kind of come together on the other side and like help to shine a light, a protective light perhaps around us. And also this just also tells me that we'll be getting it under control. Like, keep an eye on that, the fact that we will get there. And this will be the priority once we do get past this next 8 to 10 days. And then we just have, this is the more important thing that we should be focusing on. I think that's kind of the message. We have to get back to taking care of each other, We should be caring about all these people dying, and all we can think about again, because Trump has made himself the center of attention again, even after he was voted out. And then here I do have a little story on Trump. I mean, he's trying to hold on to power. He's a fool. That's what I get here with this Four of Pentacles, holding on to power. But he's a fool, he's a zero, and I really believe that's how people on the inside feel about him. I forgot to mention also that Four of Cups there, which ties into his childishness. That's his refusal to accept the results of reality. And that Fool card, just thinking somehow magically he can be president again, which he can't. That he's just kind of crazy, a child. But we have Justice here. He just can't get away from it. This Nine of Swords is just this anxiety. And, oh, look at that, Eight of Pentacles. I'm just had the thought, like, it's just a matter of days. I think that at this moment, it's like a matter of 8 days. And then the Chariot, which is that same feeling also of if you don't get out, the Chariot is coming for you. Change coming fast. Change is coming fast. Trump, this Four of Cups, he's a fool, and he needs to drink his medicine, and he needs to go. So that's what I get on that. Oh, interesting, my candle went out. I'll have to watch back and see when that happened, because that feels like a little message in itself, that Trump's presidency is coming to an end. His light will go out. So we'll leave it on that. Let me know your thoughts. If you got any intuitions on the cards or any intuitions on your end. And also, hang in there. Let's all try to say a prayer for the United States, for peace and blessings, that we can, get through this and get to a better time that's coming. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.